Hey guys, I'm Deb Foglia, and I'm the home decor DIY blogger at Seeking Lavender Lane, where you can find a lot of our home tutorials, decorating, all of that. Anything that has to do with making a home beautiful, that's what my blog is all about. Well, today I'm getting a chance to share with you on Hometalk our progress of our entryway. So if you take a look around, our entryway it's like been styled, but kind of like, I like to say it's temporary styled. So we have plans for it to finally attack the space, and we're going to share it with you guys the next 4 weeks. So this is week 1, day 1 for us. And first things first is we're going to clear out everything in the space, and we're going to start up on the ceiling today. So our plans are still a little rocky with what's going to go on the wall, so we definitely know what's going to happen on the ceiling, so we're going to start with that first. We want, when you walk into the space, it just to feel a little bit more dramatic, so we're going to add a really, really small detail that you guys could do at home that's going to add a little drama to your ceiling, and I think the entryway or a dining room space, even a bedroom, is a perfect spot to do that. So we're gonna walk you through how we're gonna add picture frame molding to the ceiling. But first things first, we're gonna clean this place up. Let's sweep this up, and we'll get started on our picture frame molding on the ceiling. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna eyeball it. I like to eyeball things. So this is what we're gonna be using. I'll show you guys a little bit up close. So we've used this before. We picked this up at Lowe's. It's a perfect size to do picture frame molding. You could of course go bigger than this, but the one side is, I guess, what would you call that, Abby? Pinched? And then this side is wider, so you could see the two sides. So just a little subtle detail. I don't like anything too busy. So this is gonna be awesome, and we're gonna just start installing. It should be pretty quick. Just a little preview of what the design we're going for and kind of the measurements right now. I always like to sketch things. So we're going 8 feet length, and then we're gonna do 5 inches in and 5 inches out to create the little detail for the ceiling. And then of course the 4 feet wide. So right now we're just leveling. Let me get your pen. Yep. So we are just leveling everything, making sure, and that spider is still on the ceiling. So.
He's my friend, leave him alone.
Okay. And then the other side has to go this opposite direction. Yeah. Direction. Change strategy a little bit because working on the ceiling makes it a little bit more difficult. We're actually just going to do 1 by 1, map it outside, and then put it on the ceiling. I think this is just the easiest way to work. So we have the one side. Now we're going to do 5 inches across. So you want to mark, maybe we should do more than, should we do more than 5 inches? Maybe I should go more than 5 inches now that I see it. Let's do maybe 7 inches is a good one.
7?
Yeah, let's do 7. So you want to make sure it's decently dramatic. Do you all agree? 7 inches? Yeah. 7 inches. Okay. So next we're going to do 7 inches from the point over. And then we will cut that also on an angle.
Coming this way.
All right, so then from here, we're going 7 this way. So we finished our puzzle piece here. Didn't take that long. What do you think, about 15 minutes? 20 minutes? 20 minutes or so? But I think this was the strongest way to do it, was doing it on the floor first. And then from here, we're gonna put it up to the ceiling. We're starting to think maybe seeing it now, maybe we should go a smidge shorter, but if we do, the nice thing is you only have to cut each side the same amount, and that easy, really easy. And now we can start
doing the thing.
The nails. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Boom. so we got this piece up.
Hallelujah.
Now we're gonna start working on our square. I'm gonna grab my pieces as we go. And once again, thank God we did this ahead of time. Alrighty, here we go. Ooh, don't fall.
When you tell someone not to fall, they usually fall.
There you go. Beautiful.
Look straight, right?
Looks straight to me.
It's hard to tell from here.
The nice thing is you have the angle to work with, so.
Put this one back.
How are we gonna do that?
Skip.
There you go. Beautiful.
Alright, so make sure it's straight on this side.
Looks good. Looks good, Daniel. Looks good.
What place is that?
I say, what did this take us? About 2 hours maybe, tops?
No,
About 2 hours? Hour and 45 minutes maybe?
hour and a half, right?
I don't know.
Oh, who knows?
Well, who knows? We've lost track of time, but it's up. So next is just doing some caulking, and then we're gonna paint it the color of the wall, so it blends. We have this ceiling medallion, so we're gonna add this up here too, just to add even more excitement to the ceiling. But I am going to paint this all the same color. I'm loving this tone on tone right now. So instead of doing this in a high gloss or something, at least the plan is right now, because I changed my mind about a lot of things, it's going to be the same color as the ceiling. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're priming the molding that we just put up to match the wall color. This is the White Dove by Benjamin Moore. But week 3, we're actually gonna do a really awesome paint technique that I cannot wait to show you guys. But for now, we're just gonna paint it and have it all match and call it a day. All right, that's a wrap for week 1, where we got to add some great detail to our entryway ceiling for super cheap, super easy. I can't wait for you guys to tune in next week, where we're gonna be adding some picture frame molding to our walls, and then a really awesome line paint technique in week 3. I will see you guys all next week. Today, we are actually going to be doing very similar to what we did last week with the picture frame molding, but we're gonna actually bring it now to the walls. So we wanna add some depth to these walls. I like the cleanness of how everything is very creamy, and then we have the pop of trim color, but we wanna add a little depth, a little something just to bring it up a notch. So we're gonna be adding picture frame molding to the walls. First things first is we're actually have a thicker molding this time around, and we're gonna be using this, not too big, I don't want anything too wide. You know, I want something that kind of feels a little like French in a way, but very simple still. So we got this molding, and we're gonna use that as our marker, and it's gonna be our molding that's gonna go across the wall. All right, so I am going to mark out 37 inches going across, and then we're gonna take our,
Molding.
what is that? We're gonna take our level. I knew what I was called. I just had a blonde moment. Okay, and we're gonna mark them out going across. Today we've got a little bit of a rainstorm coming through, so we've got to have our lighting on. So it might be a little, the lighting might not be super great today. Okay, so we're just gonna mark a few of these out so we can line them up with the level, and we should be good. So you can see my lines, I made sure that they were close enough so we can mark it out. And we're just gonna draw a straight line best that we can here. You know, sometimes your walls are not completely straight. Hold on.
Yes, adjust that.
It's hard, the pressure of the camera being on you. Okay, there we go. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is, since we have to wait for our battery to charge, we're gonna mark out where our squares are gonna go. Our plan is to do 3 squares here, 2 smaller size squares, and 1 larger square in the center. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually mark it coming off of the wall, and I think we're gonna start with about 5 inches off the wall, because I want it to kind of be centered with the sconce up above. So we're gonna mark that here. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna mark our 5 inches from the wall here. Yeah, right there. Okay, so just like the other side, we're gonna be measuring off the wall 5 inches. So everything's consistent. We're gonna do 5 inches from this side.
Sing while you work, huh?
What's that?
You sing while you work?
I do sing while I work, like this guy's from Snow White. Whistle while you work. So 5 inches from each side. And then this way it'll give us the measurement for how wide we want it. So to here, we're at 20, yeah, we give it a little, 29 inches wide.
So I'm actually excited to talk about this because this is classic DIY disaster type stuff. Everything looks so easy when you're planning things out. Everyone sees people on TV doing things like this, but you never account for something like this. So you have all the boxes around the room, you're coming down 5 inches off the wall, everything's symmetrical, everything is perfect, and then bam, you got this guy right here. So when you come down 5 inches, you're gonna run right into that to make your box. So now what you thought was gonna be something very uniform and harmonious around the room, you have this guy to break it up. So what we're gonna try to do here is angle, make a small cut here, and then continue it on, and then come back up. Who knows how it's gonna look, but once it's done, we'll take a look at it.
Right here's a little preview of how that's going. So we got all of this chair rail molding up, and keep in mind we are going to actually paint it the color of the wall. So it's not gonna be the color of the molding, it's gonna be the color of the wall. So, and yes, I'm probably gonna get questions about this. This actually needs to be painted this color, and I haven't gotten around to it because that's how projects go. You move on from one to the next. Anyways, so we got that up, really simple, really easy, and then now we're just getting smaller nails in the nail gun so we could do the squares because the molding on that is a little bit thinner. All right, you guys, next thing I'm doing is I am taking this plastic wood and I'm going to be filling in all the nail holes. So basically super easy. You just take a little bit on your finger. I'll show you like that, and you just put it into your hole and then you wipe it away. And that's it. And then you're gonna go back later and you'll sand that. You wanna make sure to do that so this way everything's nice and smooth and you don't have any nail holes in your molding. So all of the wooded putty has dried, and now I am going back, sanding all of the wood putty so it's flush with the piece, so there's no rough spots, and then from there we will be able to prime it. I'm going to prime it with the color of the walls that I already have, and next week you guys are gonna see how we're gonna be treating the walls because we're gonna be adding this really cool texture to our walls. It's called lime paint, and I am excited to share the tutorial with all of you because it is a really cool product. So what you've seen so far, week 1, we updated the ceiling and we shared how we added some picture frame molding to give a little bit of detail to our entryway. And then we added picture frame molding to our walls. So we walked you through both of those demonstrations and how to and how not to do things. So this week I am going to actually be introducing you to a product that I am really excited about to share because I think this is going to be something that many people don't know about, but it's something that's definitely trending and something that I'm excited to use in my home because it's going to add this great character, but also feel very modern at the same time. So it is called, I'm gonna show you and I'm gonna walk you guys through it. It's called Pure Original, and it is a lime paint. So here is the wall prim, and that's what they call it, prim. So it's your primer, and it's the same color of the lime paint we're gonna be using. But right now what we're gonna be doing is adding this primer to the wall, just as you would to paint it. So I'm gonna start with all the edging first, and then I'll come back around and use a roller to roll out the rest of the surface area. All right, so I am going to be priming the walls, and the color is the same color as the lime paint, but this is the primer that I have to use first. I just opened the can of paint, and it looks a little bit darker than I thought it was going to be, but I think it'll still be nice, and hopefully with having it darker, it'll just mean that I will be able to really see the lime effect that, make sure you guys can see what I'm doing, the lime effect. So I'm just taking my brush and going around, painting all the trim, painting all the corners. I'm gonna start with all of that because this way it'll make it a lot easier when I actually have to take my roller in. So this is just a little bit of the priming that I did with the brush, going around all the hard to reach areas, all the little nooks and corners. Before I go about and doing the roller, I'm gonna finish all the corners, and then from there we'll grab the brush and start painting. I'm just gonna continue just rolling the rest of the primer on, and then once this is all one color, then we'll let it dry, and then we can move on to our lime paint. All right, guys, so we finished the priming in the entryway. Hubby actually went through last night and did all of the trimming between the wall and the ceiling because we've decided that we're gonna keep the ceiling as is. I am gonna have to touch it up a little bit because I thought I was going to do the Pure Original product on the ceiling, but I think after finishing this space, we're feeling like that the ceiling should just kind of stay white, and we're loving the way it looks. So what I'm gonna do now is I have my green tape, and I'm gonna go around, tape off all of the molding because I'm about to get started on the lime paint, and I wanna make sure that doesn't get on the molding. So I'm gonna do that now, and then we'll get to lime painting. All right, I want you guys just to see the thickness of the lime paint. So it kind of looks like pancake batter, I would say, maybe slightly thicker than pancake batter. I'm putting it in here because I'm gonna add just a touch of water to this. All right, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to it, just a little bit. So I'm just gonna mix this. Okay, so what we have is our Lime Fresco paintbrush. This thing's really easy to work with. And we have our lime paint. I put it in just this little tray so it's easier to work with. We're gonna dip it in a little bit, and we're gonna get to working on the walls. So what we're doing is we're going in a cross hatch motion like this. Now this creates dimension to the, oops, I think I just got that on my lights cons. I guess I need to cover that too. So just like that. And this is gonna create depth to the wall. All right, so I've already done a little bit of the cross hatching. I'm going to continue to show you how easy this is to do. Another way that you can do your lime paint is in a straight line, but I personally like this better, and I think this is easier too, especially for a first timer who's doing it. And it's kind of like you can't mess up because it's like being a kindergartner and coloring outside the lines in a way. So I'm just going back and forth with it. Now remember, I'm doing everything all in one finish, so that includes the molding. I'm gonna go right over our molding and continue on to the bottom. So it's gonna just all blend together, and this should lighten as it dries. All right, so this is day 2 of doing the lime paint. I ran out of natural light yesterday, and we actually have great light to share it more with you today. So I talked with the brand a little bit yesterday, wanting to make sure I was 100% doing things right, and I am. So basically, you definitely want to dilute everything. It's important to dilute it, but not to dilute it too much. Also, you're gonna need 2 coats of this. By coat number 2, that's when you're gonna really start seeing the texture. So I'm gonna continue with my cross hatch because it's the direction I want my product to go. Also, a really cool fact that I learned yesterday too is that you could paint over your outlet covers and anything like this, but you do have to start with the primer first. So I might go back and actually paint this so it blends in more, since it was kind of interrupting our picture frame box, if you guys remember that from last week, that we had to work around it. But I am just doing the same thing, cross hatching. It's a little difficult with the boxes as it would be for just a plain, simple wall, but really not too hard. So you just want to create a very simple pattern because you don't want it to be too busy either, unless that's the look that you're going for. Okay, so what happens is with this first coat is that it's going to actually absorb a little bit into the wall, and by the second coat it'll be on top. This will definitely lighten the color, which is great. So, but you don't want it to be too thick and you don't want to be too watery, your consistency. A nice thing too is when you're working off of the edges, which I learned last night, is you either want to go like this, kind of like this direction, almost like a wave, so it does continue in your pattern instead of just going in a straight line. Same thing with the bottom. At least that's what seems to be working for me. Guys, day 3 here. Getting my lime fresco paint on the wall. Showing you guys an up close little view of how I'm getting this done. So I took a break this weekend from it, and now I want to get this finished up before I have to do the final coat. And the final coat is basically a sealer on the wall, so this way it seals from all those fingerprints and water and all that kind of stuff. So yep, this is how it's going so far. Have this whole wall to do, the wall above the door, and then I could say I am done with this part, and I'm so excited to see it finished. All right, you guys, the painting is done. I am so thrilled with how it turned out. A little bit of patience, a little bit of time, but it certainly paid off. The ceiling looks great. The picture frame molding was just what the space needed. And I love the warmer color in here, even though originally I didn't realize how warm it would be. I thought it would be a little bit brighter. I think it turned out better than I had even planned. So here's the fun part, my favorite part, and we are going to style the space now. I already started a couple things. I hung back up my mirror and hung back up this picture. It's exactly the same how it was before. The only difference is now we actually have a chair rail molding, so it breaks up the wall perfectly. I always felt like it was a little, like it was missing something, so now I'm excited to actually see it all pulled together. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, let's add an awesome area rug to the space. I just got this new area rug from Revival Rugs, and it is amazing. So let me spread it out for you so you can be the judge for it yourself. Now, one of the things I love about this company is that the quality is amazing. I love this pattern. It has like this vintage vibe to it. It could be a little modern, but it also can feel very natural, which is also something that I'm about. I don't like anything that feels too modern and cold. Luca, off the rug. Luca, off the rug. Away. Okay, so let's spread this out for you guys to see, because this is amazing. Now the size on it, I'm sure I'm gonna get questions, is a 5 by 8, and look at off the rug, buddy. Go, 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 go. And it actually fits perfectly in here. All right, guys, next up is this big wall right over here. It's a little hard to get the whole wall in, but as you can see, it's pretty bare. So though I love the texture on the wall now, we definitely need to add some type of artwork. I've already gone ahead and used what I've had and thrifted some other things. Another great place to thrift shop is Facebook Marketplace, one of my favorite places to not only find furniture to flip and furniture for my home, but also artwork. It's another great place to shop all those things for your home. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this amazing gallery wall. I'm gonna take all the pictures out, and the first thing I would say when you're gonna decorate for a gallery wall is set up everything below. So really map out how you want everything staggered, the placement, the length, the height, and all of that. And then once you have that, then we can start measuring and marking things out. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about the photos I've chose for the gallery wall, the frames, the size, the shapes, all of that. So one thing you're gonna see going across is that all of the pictures all coordinate in some way. They all feel like they are in the same color palette. The frames are the same, and everything either feels like it's sketched or it's a charcoal. So I have all my picture frame nails. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start on the outside. I'll probably go from left to right just to keep things so it doesn't get too jumbled. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on that 3-inch line, and I'm gonna measure what the top of the highest picture is from the distance of the top of this one, and we're gonna drop it down from that level from there. So next is to check the back of the frame because every frame is different. And I have exactly 6, so I hope we're okay. Okay, so this one, very old school, has the picture frame wire on the back. So I'm gonna measure down from what the point is, and that's where we're gonna mark our first one. So this is just about 4 inches down. So I'm gonna put this up here, make sure that looks okay. Okay, we have picture number 1 up. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. I couldn't wait to get this part going, so I am so excited. All right, it's done. That's the gallery wall I've been dreaming of. I just love it. I love the colors. I love everything together. It's amazing. So the last thing that I have been thinking about doing is I've been starting a top hat collection. I just love top hats, and I don't know, for like since we moved into our house, I've been wanting to get some top hats for the entryway. So another thing I'm considering is possibly just adding like a little top hat up here. I just think that would be really cool for dimension. So I think what I'm gonna do is though, I'm gonna get a command strip for this. Just this way I can change it out if I want to. I think for winter it's gonna be great, but then I could always do some type of straw brimmed hat for summer and spring. So I'm gonna get one of those and add that to the top. Okay, so there's the top hat. It looks so good. I love the dimension. Obviously the color works really well. So I could say that this wall is basically done until obviously we have to find a table in here. I'm leaning more table than bench. So because we had a bench in here, and I just feel like a table you can style it more, and I'm excited to do that. All right, so let's move on to the other side of the room. All right, guys, so next thing is I have this awesome accordion style coat rack that I got at Target, and I've been eyeing it for a little while, but I wasn't sure until I put it up here. So it was kind of one of those items I bought. We'll see how it works. But I like how it can kind of disappear into the molding on the wall. So I think here it works. If it was kind of floating in the middle of the wall, it might have looked a little bit odd. But I love it. It brings more of that black, pop of black into the space. And it's just gonna be a great little drop zone to hang scarves and jackets and all of that here. Okay, so we got the 2 up, so now we're just gonna, is that backwards? Now, it feels a little naked to me, but I think once we hang some scarves or cute things from here, it's gonna fill the space really nicely.
Good.
Okay, here we go, it's up. Okay, so I am missing a console table that I really need for the space, or a really great bench. So I want to show you just something that I mocked up real quick. So these are part of our dining room set. I love the cane back on these chairs, and so to me, I either want something beautiful like a nice upholstered with a cane back bench, or a great console table that'll probably sit around here. So this just kind of explains the height of the pictures. I didn't want it to look like it was totally floating. So if I have a table here, I'll have a vase and some books and things like that. That's going to give it height. Or having a bench, you could see just separates the pictures from the top of the chairs just perfectly. but I definitely want something that feels vintage and authentic, so I'm going to be on the hunt for that. So make sure you guys follow along, because I'm sure I'll be sharing that all on Instagram. You guys can follow me at Seeking Lavender Lane. I'm always sharing some of my great hunt and findings, so I'm really excited for that. All right, so that is it. Lots of time spent in making this entryway. Just a total different space. We just absolutely love it. From the new trim on the ceiling and on the walls to having that pure original lime wash paint, which you could tell right away just changes the texture in the space. We have this beautiful rug from Revival Rugs and some new accessories, and then of course a couple things that we're gonna have to wait on, but we are just so thrilled with how the space turned out. And so I got a couple things for you guys before you head on out of here. Number one, I'm going to be doing an awesome giveaway over on my page on Seeking Lavender Lane on Instagram for the Pure Original paint. So be sure to go check that out because it's going to go live today. And the next big thing is that I am launching a decorating 101 group come January, and I'd love for you guys to join. So check out my website, seekinglavenderlane.com, and you'll see a decorating 101 group. Click that, sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll hear from me shortly.